wars teams, popes, dodos, and Nazis. Here is a picture of Merkel in 1986 on an outing to the Baltic island of Rügen by members of the DDR, that's the Deutsche Dunst secret society that the Pope was in, what was the name of the person? So in The Spy Who Shagged Me, that is Mike Myers. That is them covering a new branch of the Forbes Rich List. Myers are the families. They sing songs for a laugh on the internet, and that is Train on the internet. That is the Myers family that is related in the negotiations and training of Hitler Youth with Merkel and Austin. And I've got the picture right in front of me. Their controllers in the mind control team are Lord Jacob Rothschild, Arnie Schwarzenegger, and the one who's third on the Forbes Rich List that is on the 2 videos that I've already published on Forbes. And there's Madonna with Myers, as if they did not know that Myers are now a German family. That's what I'm going to talk about today. Okay. It's all the whole of the. So Susan Clatton ran BMW with her brothers. 3 of them were on the Forbes lists, and that is the owners of BMW that have a massive sales facility at the end of the high street that I'm gazing at now. Yeah. And that was BMW that are Hitler's fleet. Got you. It's all totally corrupted, and the Hollywood star teams include Schwarzenegger. He was in Germany in league with the folk that were in the bunker with Hitler just before they left. And that is Greg Hallett's stories about the River Spree tunnels, the drowning of the punters that were just trying to survive from the air raids in those tunnels. And that is the Beatles' Yellow fucking Submarine. Sick. Yeah, all of it is a piss take for the world's richest people, and that is the Bush family that led us into World War I. And that is why I wanted to make it plain to the public that I have pictures that are absolutely damning for everybody that is in that team. That's so this,
I mean, just on the concept of what I haven't got the in-depth knowledge of what you're talking about, but I mean, I understood, from my understanding, was Albert Pike's letter in 1871 stipulated the 3 world wars. So as far as I'm concerned, it's just one plan. So the world wars is just one war to take control of the world. So obviously there must be connections between Albert Pike and it's all Freemasons anyway. So this was the where's the connection between Pike and Bush and the Bush family?
So that's all published on my website, and you must know that because the pictures on my website and those stories about everybody that is in the villainy for 100 years between the 2 world wars is depicted, and you've used the thumbnail for that to show that you've got access to my website.
Yeah, because I've used. I mean, no, I'd picked that up. I learned that not from you at all. I learned that just from my research. I mean, when I first,
it's the thumbnail for the people that are the mafia through all of that time, including the one that you just cited, and he's got the skulls and bones of the Indian nation in the photos that are in his profile. Albert Pike, and all of it is even the films that were made in Hollywood. One of the death camps was a valley, and the Sad Bastards made a Hollywood film about the valley in Germany that was, that they had to dig their own graves and then jump into them. They never got let out again, and all of it I remember watching on the telly. It's absolutely disgusting, and and the folk that are in the cast of those movies are the sheriffs in the court that I've been condemned by.
Yeah.
As the world's most knowledgeable man, and that is why I've been condemned.
Yeah.
But there's a picture of Merkel in 1986. So all of that is the pretense that there was a revolutionary terror event in, I think it was Norway, when the fascists were meeting, and the name of the fascist in that case was, can you remember it? They all went to an island, and there were loads of photos published, and the name of the person that was the founder, and he's on the Forbes rich list and the Committee of 300 as a terrorist. That is the World Health Organization were part of the story, and the family that was on Forbes and on the Committee of 300. Do you understand Mandelson now?
Why? Wait.
Mandelson is the agent for Rothschild, and that is Mandel House that was the agent for Rothschild in negotiating the ownership of the Bank of America on Christmas Day in the morning. That's the Federal Reserve scams, and all of the writings that demonize everything that happens just cover that up, like the sinking of the Lusitania and the Titanic by the Hitler Youth teams that are now in the president's venues in America. That's the Bush family that escaped, yeah, and under the name that is, what is the name of the pretzel?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Merkel and Austin are Hitler Youth before she actually was elected into office. But the whole of that meeting on islands was the launch of Donald Berwick's Breivik. Donald Berwick, I think, was the head of the World Health Organization, but we're now getting so explicit that we're kind of wasting our time. It will all come out in the debate, and when I have got my camera on and stuff. Okay. But are you getting the gist of it? Can you remember Breivik?
Yeah, I'm used to some names, George. Breivik.
Stupid-looking twat that exploded the socialist community as a fascist in Norway, and that is Breivik was his name, and that is the nicknames of the activists in the political teams in Germany. Merkel is the same, and Austin is the same, but Austin is a billionaire family on Forbes. Yeah, and all of it is, and the Pope's depicted in the same picture. Madonna is the spy who shagged me with her friend, who is Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all of it is a massive piss take. And even with that, you have to be careful, because all of them are under the eyes of the God that created us all. And that is why Austin Powers, the star, was Vern Troyer. He died within a few months of his marriage to one of the supermodels. He's about 14 or 15 inches tall before he popped into his coffin. Yet he's depicted giving the same Nazi signs as Pope Benedict, because both of them are Nazis in the papacy and in Hollywood. And there's Arnie Schwarzenegger, who was in Germany, in Berlin, right up to the last 3 or 4 weeks in the bunker. Yeah, and the Hoffmans, that are legends in filmmaking in America now, were the lovers of Hitler at that time. He was only married to Eva Braun for a fortnight. Always just part of the stories to let them escape. So I better get a move on, because the Germans are coming to live here, 5 of them, coming to the pub this afternoon.
Okay. Let's go.
But you don't remember like the Sex Island scandal. All of it was covered by me with all the statistics on what the sad bastards represent. And the only one that took the fall was the Royal Prince, that was Fergie's lover. Fergie was scamming the whole world because she had the pictures of the little red dolls and things, which were the German trick in the Holocaust. It's really difficult to explain if you're a civilized person. None of them fucking are. And Merkel is the longest lived political representative in European history, certainly in recent times. Everybody else has to give up after they've done 2 regimes at most.
Yeah.
And that is what was happening to Donald. As to, I think, what's his name that got the job eventually, he was the deputy president for Obama, and all of it is the same families that have. There's several numerical codes that they all rely on, and that's the top 100 families and 100. I can't remember what it's either Jesus or Christ, and all of it is actually the code that was used in the Bible to divide the Jews and the Christians and to massacre everybody, even in the lions' dens. I used to watch all those movies and wonder why the world was so savage, and that is the world's religions being launched. But I'm stunned that you don't remember the terror that happened in Norway with Donald Breivik was the name of the boss at the World Health Organization, and that is the crashing of the banks by the same families in the late noughties. I think it was 2008.
I'm late. I'm late to the realization of what on the bigger scale, realizing that the whole world's a stage. You know, it was my research into in 2014. So I mean, I'm sort of like, I knew what was going on and what was going on within the people of the world and how the corruption was there, but I didn't realize how deep it went, and by a long way, until I started the research into the pharmaceutical industry. That's where I then led. That was the can of worms that opened up to understand that the whole world is a stage, and this has all been planned. And you know, basically, you have the virtual reality, you know, like Coronation Streets and this, but we're actually living in another virtual reality that is what people believe is reality. And all these people are actors. They're all actors, and they're replaced. They've got body doubles. They've got so on and so forth. So, you know, everyone's being laid into the thinking that these people are being brought to justice, when actually no, they're just being changed. You know, when you could see that with the other people that was being killed. You know, none of them are actually being killed. They're just being taken off the stage. You know, okay, you've been fired. You know, or you're just part of the stage to keep people in the belief that these people are actually working for them or helping them. It's such a massive mind f that that's why people can't grasp it. I mean, I still struggle. I mean, George, you lose me. Like I said to you, you lose me. Not with what you're saying.
When you see little snippets of it and the pictures of them, it's very difficult to get lost. So,
yeah, no, when you can picture it, when you can do that, that's why I said about it. But you're going to be recording from your end, and you'll be doing the film. So I'm just going to, basically, that's what I'm trying to say. This is a soundtrack for it all. Like I say, I'm recording. I've been recording for a bit, so I've got it all anyway. So when we lead into
you can look or stop on the pictures that are in the video I've already published to see the names and how many generations of Bush family were in the family tree before they changed their name to Pierce. And some of your recent friends on Facebook are Pierce. And that is the man that played baseball, and I think he was George W.'s great grandpa, and all of them. There's a guy called Duddy Weir in the Borders. He's got motor neuron disease now, and he's been an eccentric rugby player right through his days. But Weir is in the family group for this lot, and it's all just a massive piss take. That's the bloodline tree that I showed you in snippets. If you could just get your screen segmented up into 2 or 3 pictures that you've already seen from that video, it will help a lot. But I can make it simpler, and I can. You've never heard of those meetings in the Baltic island of Rügen. That's the Deutsche Dunst Prince Philip initiative, and that is the Deutsche Dunst frozen vehicles and goods vehicles that tour around and fill up the supermarkets when they're empty. And I've made videos on all of that. That is the Lord Sainsbury is my biggest enemy in the world. He took my jobs from me in New Zealand because everybody knew that he was a member of the what is the team that fleeces the world? The black nobility. Yeah. So Lord Sainsbury is descended from Longshanks's grandson, the Poof in the movie about Robert the Bruce and Longshanks, and that all of that happened on the south coast of England, down near Plymouth, which is also the place where the secret King of England lived before he was executed in Portugal. That's the killing of Marcus Manuel, and that is Greg Hallett's last video and last breath. But he's in the teams that are now supporting Wanoa. Both of the guys in the ethnic uniforms for Maoris are Greg Hallett facial structures, and it's just exactly how the Rothschilds have run the world through all of the wars, using the papacy, using the families that are Lubavitchers. You understand that? That's the Jewish nation, and that is the Sultans of Swing and everything that happened in Pope Benedict's bloodline tree. Yeah, that's the Pope, and that is Butlins are my biggest enemies, and they are Borna Missa. That's Born Leisure on the business register, and that is sorry, it's Butlins on the business register, and it's Born Leisure on the business register, and that is Borna Missa in the top 7 in Forbes. And all of them are Freemasons, as you've already said, and that is the bane of the world. Yeah. And so Bay City Prowler Austin in the Spy Who Shagged Me MI6 movies, so that is Manningham Buller, who trained my wife in Intel as the leader of MI6 before Max Clifford took over. Do you remember Barroso?
Nope.
He was the European boss in all the financial activities. He's now the boss at Goldman Sachs, and all of it, the whole of the royal family are Goldman Sachs. Yeah, they're all goldsmiths, and it's absolutely sickening. But
which ones have gone over onto, you say that, because I mean no one's with John Wanoa on John Wanoa's side. John Minow is totally he's out of service at the moment. He's just getting himself better because he was kidnapped basically by what was his name, Brett Shields, who took over the other police, Philip Taylor, I think his name was, who John had got him banged to rights when he was taking his Cook Street back, and he'd got him banged to rights.
Everything that I hear about John and everything that I've been reading this morning, it still turns the guns on Katie Bourne. It's absolutely negative. It's one person in the mafia operation. If he knew that his MP was the nephew of Winston Churchill, he knew that. That is Solmes.
Yeah.
They are turning their guns away to little decrepit women that no one's heard about, and the families that launched the Holocaust were Churchill and the presidents and the Forbes rich listers.
Yeah, you talk about John Patterson now. Yeah, I was talking about John Minow then. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, but it's the same story.
Well, yeah.
John's vendetta is against Katie Bourne. Every debate we have, it comes into it. Every time you scold him for it being a tiny element of what the Rothschilds have done to the world, and that is the families that have the cathedral that has shareholdings in it.
Right.
None of that ever comes up because that would sink them, you see, like the Lusitania. But all of it is Howard of Norfolk, and he's in the movies about Henry VIII beheading his wives, and that is, I forget the name of the man that was beheaded, but Cromwell deserted him, and within a couple of weeks, the head was rolling along the pavement. Sir Thomas More, A Man for All Seasons, and all of it is the same families, and the Austins are now, nobody's ever heard of them, but that is Austin in The Spy Who Shagged Me with Madonna smiling at him in the open-topped car. And right next to them is the Star Wars team, led by Arnie Schwarzenegger, who was also in the bunker and a friend of the last surviving head of the Third Reich in Germany, who was, I can't remember the name, but it's one of the, all of it was published at the time when they were visiting those islands, and they now regret it because all of it, several of them have died, and that little guy, he's only 1 foot 6 inches tall, and all of them have dropped in dead because they're using the names of the rich listers, and that is the Pope doing exactly the same finger job that Winston Churchill is renowned for. So what do you want to, if I promise to make the picture that I'm describing as the thumbnail for the video?
Yeah, that's good. That's cool. You can send me that, and
that means you can publish it using the methods that you were using yesterday.
Yeah, I'm going to do is while you're talking, I'm going to go through, show some of the pictures on the video that you made the other day on the 11th, and then I'm also just going to flick through your website, different parts on your website. So your Prof Just Lees, just rather than people looking at my face, it just adds more detail and adds more information because they'll be able to read.
Well, there's no publications on my website that have this in it yet. That will come later. And I've not actually made a video on this in toto, but it's a pity that you cannot remember. Have you seen and studied the Committee of 300 and who's on it?
Not in depth, no, not in depth at all. Like I say, I've been focusing on different things. Like
every one of the heroes in the European mafia, including the one that is, who's the one that is negotiating with Boris now?
From?
She's Albrecht is the translation of her name, and that is the Prince Albert joke that the royals actually murdered him. But she's the negotiator for the EU, and she's Barroso's replacement, and she's the richest woman in Europe now, with the exception of Merkel, who's on her 4th or 5th term in office, and that is Hitler's daughter.
There we go. See,
Yeah,
I don't have a television. I don't watch any television whatsoever. So
neither do I.
I'm not. I mean, I don't, where you, yeah, but I'm, yeah. See, John Winnow would be, because he used to always keep his eye on the button, on what's going on out there, and catch them out before they did it. John Winnow, I'm talking about now. He would always put a, you know, stop them, you know, put them on notice before they did it, i.e. what he was doing with Trump and so on and so forth, you know, just to let them know that, because I mean, you know, they let those deceived that can be deceived. But if he was pulling them out, he also pulled them all out on the European Union, but all that got taken down. But John will be back sooner. John will be back. He's just recovering because he's been poisoned for nearly a year. They poisoned him. It was in a real bad way. John was in a very, very bad way. He's got real shakes. It looked like he got Parkinson's disease. You know, they've worked hard on him. You know what I mean, to destroy him.
Well, you see, Merkel got that too. I reckon whether that is necessarily poison or intoxication, it can be an act of God. Merkel was stammering and closing her eyes as she spoke.
Yeah, that is with them. But I know that no, John was. I mean, we eventually got him stopped because I couldn't get John. It was killing me. It was killing me, George. I mean, trying to do everything to stop them, but you can't get them, and they've got to speak for themselves. But it's like John now, John Patterson now. You know, he's not the same. It's not the same. It's not that he's not the same John. Yes, it's the same John. But those drugs, mate, that they pump into you, mate, they, you know, you think you can handle them. They both said it exactly the same. There's no problems. I can do it. But I can start to see how they're losing their mind, and they start going weak. I mean, John Patterson. This is, you know, he was never give in. Long live the fighters, and he would never stop. And now he's like, what can you do? There's nothing. They're just beating you. There's nothing you can do. Nothing I can say. They just ignore you. And that would never be John. You know what I mean? So
you remember Andy Coulson?
Andy Coulson, yeah.
He's just walked past the window. He's in Coldstream permanently until they get me shut the fuck up. It's absolutely crooked, but it was them that tried to convict me as a mental health case because I published all the statistics on the Committee of 300 and the Queen's Empire in Africa, which is no longer part of the African nation. All of it is the colony that Queenie has created. Yeah, and all of them are linked into those family trees in ancient Austria. And that is the folk that were in Hitler Youth. That's the joke, that the Pope is in Hitler Youth with Angela Merkel, and she is Hitler's daughter as a Hitler Youth. Yeah. But I'm stunned that you can't remember the Breivik case and the terror that accompanied it in Norway, the massive funerals. All of it is cover for Donald Berwick at the World Health Organization in their last coronavirus scam.
Yeah. Well, no, I didn't. I mean, that's the thing. They are so big, you know. They're so big that people can't realize, you know. They've got a rude awakening, you know, to what's actually really going down. You know, when you look into the history of what they've been doing, you realize that there's complete void of care. There's complete void. These are psychopaths. These are bred to be what they're being. So So I mean, obviously, then the this, I mean, this goes all the way. I mean, because where's the Pharaoh's connection to because there's got to be the Pharaoh. In other words,
Yeah, so I can tell you that quickly.
yeah.
So the Pharaoh connection that is most prominent, Hillary Clinton funded the president of Egypt, who's called Mubarak. Yeah, he got $2 billion a year for his holiday fund from America in the form of Hillary Clinton when she was running in the elections against Obama. His name is Mubarak, and his agent is a woman called Shakira, who was born a Mubarak. She's married to a Piquet in Formula One, and all of them are the relatives and friends of Lionel Messi, who's now the cover for Lionel Nathan Rothschild and the stealing of the Bank of England. All of it is the same team, and every war in world history has been launched by them. Yeah, in the Egyptian ones, that is Dance Like an Egyptian, and that is John Patterson's Desert Boy scam that was used by the Aurelian couple that are Laurel and Hardy, who love to call themselves Desert Boys. And Boris Johnson is descended from Kemal of Austro-Hungary, and she's the first female deputy president in American history. So that's just a little summary. Do you want to start talking about but the pretzel thing is an absolutely brazen declaration by the Bush family that we are the people that took over America in 1937 and even earlier than that, and those are the German republics that were being created in South Africa, all across the African nation, and into the pyramids up top. Yeah, and the pyramids, I believe, is just a laugh. I don't believe that there are people from outer space manipulating us all, but that is how they got rid of the menace that was David Icke. Yeah, just fobbed him off. Instead of looking at the director numbers for everything that they were pocketing in the World Wildlife Fund all across Africa, they actually persecuted one of the world's most honest men, and that, I believe, is what will happen to you and me in the course of time, unless we get ultra open and we embarrass the sad bastards like they need to be. Yeah, so I've got on the picture now an edition that I put on in the last few days. That's Price and Pretzel are President Bush out of Germany in 1937. And it's actually earlier than that because it happened also in the time period around the creation of World War I for divide and conquer reasons. And all of it is that pretzel joke that the whole of the American nation was worried about, because all of them are from Britain and Europe, and all of their native sons are skull and bones now, because that is what they did. Geronimo, the Indian nation leader, was executed, and his skull is the symbol for the skull and bones, and that is the killing of the last of the pagan nations in the USA. And I've forgotten about the man that you mentioned earlier on that demonized the Nazis. And what was the name of that person on the listings of the New World Order on my website? He used to sit on top of the pile of skulls. And you cited his name earlier on, just as we started to discuss it.
Let me just I told you, I am useless with names.
So it's all just a massive. It's And religion is, as always, one of the most damaging factors, because they're all cutting each other's throats, thinking that they believe in God. But all of that has replaced the real gods that in Greece were actually recognized to be heavenly presences, and they've been replaced by a little stable boy called Jesus.
Yeah.
And the Pope is the richest person on this earth, except for the Queen of England, but he's the biggest landowner. And all of them are a mafia that launches every war, and everybody that leads every side in every war is a bastard child of Rothschild.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm of the impression. Because the Queen, as far as I'm concerned, they've all been created too. They've all been shired out of the same posses.
Well, that's why I keep asking you. You've got a big, broad mind, and you understand that there is a Star Wars game going on, and even Abba, which Abba means Father God. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. No, Abba means Father God. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And all of it is the same. It often gets mixed up with the Arthurian legends, which is why Monty Pythons take the piss everything that was historic. And they're looking for the Holy Grail, and they shout down, "We've already got one" in France.
Yeah.
All of it is just a massive set. The whole of those families are on the take right through world history, but there is no danger for the Archduke, yeah, or the Queen, unless she falls off her horse. Yeah, that is the Queen, how to take over the world, a right royal con.
Yeah.
In league with Hitler's daughter, who's the longest living president in Germany and on top of the Forbes rich list because of that.
Yeah.
Which bit do you want to hear about? It's the I need to air the thing about Bush, because they're massive war criminals too.
Yeah. Well, my limited was what I'd picked up just from studying the farmer and reaching out. And then when I came across John Winoa, and I looked into what he was explaining about taking the boat back, which was all about the flag behind me. That was when the paramount chiefs in the New Zealand, yeah, and the King of England, yeah, they joined to create that flag, and that was a contract. And John was taking that contract back, which came before Queen Victoria. So Queen Victoria, yeah, was in this timeline of what we're talking is what was the issue, because she was created. She was created by the same, and this was all about the same time of taking over the bank, because they used Napoleon's war to bankrupt England so that they could take the bank, and they could bankrupt the royals so that they could shag into the royal family to create the Queen Victoria and to create a Queen's line, because Salic law forbid the Queen's line, so there should have never been a Queen, but the Queen came in. And then obviously then you've got later on where he comes into now the Queen Elizabeth now was shired by Winston Churchill and so on and so forth. But the way John was going back was to reset it, was to take it back in time and capture out all those people that have created everything else. So where I don't see is where that the type bond between the Rothschilds, yeah, and Rockefellers and the Pretzels, or the Bush family. That's what I'm not. But obviously, I take it this is because of the.
But because we did that family tree video, you've got the pictures of all of the leaders in Britain and in America as they came out of their country estates and into their massive mansions as the landholders in America. and all the Indians get to live in squalor. And all of it is Rupert Murdoch launched a massive scam. Did you watch the Beverly Hillbillies comedy on the telly when you were a boy?
I have seen, yeah. I have seen, yeah.
So Lachlan Murdoch purchased the Beverly Hillbillies mansion. He had it for a fortnight because I published all of his gloating videos about how they had become the richest people in America. His name, Murdoch's son, is Lackland. Yeah, that is the name of King John the Baddie in the Robin Hood movie. All of them are comedians, and you're confirming that with everything you say, that they're not prepared to conduct civilized debates. All they want is the cash in their handbags and their suitcases and a couple of cruisers so that they can get away in the Titanic safely. And it's all, or the Titanic's equivalent now. And even that was faked up. There was a book written called The Sinking of the Titan 3 years before they actually sunk the Titanic. Yeah. And all of it is the same as the Breivik is the head of the World Health Organization, and he scammed with the massive illnesses that were happening nearly, I think it was 2008. I was in New Zealand then, I was not in Britain or part of the healthcare here, but I was in New Zealand, and it is totally owned by the Queen of England, every corner of it. And even Greg Hallett used to debate where the corners were and how, unless on the map you wrote everything in capital letters, yeah, that's the lawyers speak. But they were claiming that some of the deals and the declarations of what the Kiwi land was, this was the land without time, and all of it was portrayed that the land often spread offshore, because remember, that is the South Pacific, and when the volcanoes erupt, what used to be a beach then becomes a swimming pool. And that is the massive godly presence that I believe in, probably more than anybody on this earth, because when they've tried to use that lawless method on me, the gods stepped in and started massive lightning and thunderstorms, and even the History Channel have condemned me as for using that evidence in my videos.
I don't know if you know what's been going on over in New Zealand, especially with what because Lady Crown, you know, has the power of attorney for John. John obviously not being in a very good state because of what's been done to him. Yeah, he's stepped back, and Lady Crown has presented his evidence along with the evidence that she's got too. And she was going over to New Zealand, tried to go over to New Zealand, and they found out through the governments themselves, they're stating that the Queen was no longer anything to do with New Zealand, and it was actually the Queen of New Zealand, or should I say the Queen in the right of New Zealand, which was a corporation in America. So
the new Prime Minister who replaced Helen Clark, who was gifted vast tracts of land like Shania Twain in New Zealand, he is a member of the cast of the Lord of the Rings movie, and she was named as an actress after the killing of Saldana in Commoner Kate's birthing chamber. That is, the Prime Minister is an actress, everybody in the judiciary are actors,
right.
And all of it was used to shut Greg Hallett up.
Yeah.
And I'm stunned that you haven't noticed the likeness to him in John Winno's picture. They're all lined up with their feathers in their hats and things.
Mm-hmm.
But two of them have got Greg's facial structure.
Yeah. I mean, well, John, I mean, I interviewed Greg Hallett, the new Greg Hallett, a while back, and Greg was telling the story of the Maori, yeah, and that the Maori was a lot older, and John's already caught out to the fact that the Maori was created by Queen Victoria. That was making you an English slave, basically. Maori actually is not the correct word to use, but Greg was saying that it's always been, and John pulled him out. John blew at him, and called him out there and then. And so John knows that Greg. I mean, John was pushing Greg at first because Greg had a genuine case when there was the original case. But John also pulled out one other thing. He said that Greg Hallett has not got the New Zealand accent anymore. The Greg Hallett that we now see is not. He hasn't got the New Zealand accent. John's very good at picking out facials and body language and so on and so forth. And that's what he's trying to say. He's exposed that all this that we're living in is all an actor's stage. Every one of them. And he says you can see it in their faces when they're up there speaking on, in the government positions and so on. He says you can see them. They're just like, are you really believing this bullshit that I'm speaking? He says you can see it in the faces. They just can't believe that the people out there are so gullible that they can just sit there, act and tell their bullshit story, and the people of the countries are just listening to it. He says it's disgusting. I mean, John, to me, I mean, I've followed John and I've helped John. I've been with him all the way. To me, yeah, I've had different people. I've had all sorts, yeah, that come in. You don't know, because they're the best. So they are the best of the best actors. They have zero empathy. They are bred to be exactly what, and they believe it in themselves that much. That's how they can come across so serious. But John we know what I'm talking about, has never once stepped out of line. Never once has he ever been belligerent in his methods. He's always come through just by let the facts speak for themselves. And all he ever wanted to do was John wanted to, because he was a monarch. He was in a sense as a monarch. He was the surrogate king that was handed down the information from the paramount chiefs, which was equals to the English king. And the point is, the kings had been gagged. The king had been gagged, and the queen. John wanted his day in court, alongside the queen, as his own competitive witness, presenting the facts that he had got, the facts that he'd been handed down by the Freemasons, because these secrets would never have been told. If it wasn't for people like yourself that can do in the research and see it, John was actually handed it down. John was given these secrets, which Freemasons never do. And these paramount chiefs, obviously, they realize, I mean, because these were natives, these were the originists. These were the originist people that had been pulled in to this corrupt Freemasonic secret society to fool the world. And obviously their conscience had played on them that much that they handed that information down to John. And John, he took that challenge on, and he could have been a very wealthy man. He could have been doing many things, but instead he's had to do everything off his pension, and he's absolutely been destroyed for doing everything that he's done. So I can't see anything but what a beautiful man, and what that man's done. I mean, he's doing the same as what I'm trying to do, and the same as what you're trying to do. He's just trying to bring forward the facts.
Well, I'm not trying to create a new king in New Zealand, because it's also totally corrupted.
Neither was John. John said, I'm not here to bring a king. I'm only the king of the contract. That's what he was saying. If anything, you're going to call me king. I'm king of the contract because I have the contract that was handed down to me by the paramount chiefs. That's up to the people. If the people want a king, I'm not here to bring a king back. I'm not here to bring a king back. We're all kings and queens. And that's what John was saying. We are the power. And that flag, which again, this is where it steps into where Getty family came in, because when I'm doing this, I came across a lad who works on the super yachts, yeah, and I was driving around with the flag on my car, and he said, "I've seen that flag before," and I said, "Where have you seen that before?" He says, "I said because I just didn't. I thought he was just joking." He says, "No, I've used it." I says, "What? You've used that flag?" He says, "Yeah, I was on a super yacht." And he says, and when we used to go into the main ports of snobby rich places, like, yeah, it says the other boats in front had preference because of the flag protocol. They got in front of us because of the flag that we was using. He says, but if we ever needed to get in front of them all, we pulled that flag out. He said, we pulled that flag out, stuck it up the top and went straight to the front. And I says, go on. And I says, who was that then? He says, well, his claim to fame was the Queen had made him breakfast. I said, well, now you've got me. You've definitely got me again. So go on then. It was the Getty family. So it was the Getty family. The Getty family were using that flag. So that nailed everything that John was saying, because they are using that flag. That was the most powerfulest flag in the world. It was the world's flag. It was the king flag. Yeah, and it was for the safe passage, and it was to end all wars. But they're using that flag to cause wars. But it was the people's, it was for everyone. And if everyone in the world held that flag as their flag, that was the flag that had everything within it for your self-governance, self-determination, all your constitutions, everything, that everyone could be king. Everyone is their own son. So if for me, rather
does John understand as a Kiwi that the haka at the rugby internationals is the celebration of the killing by a Jewish spy of Holofernes, slit his throat? All of that is back in the Bible, and that is the launch of the haka.
Quite possibly.
And that is one of the first videos I ever published, and it's been banned ever since. And even the whole of the original disc is kept by YouTube, yeah, so that you cannot remake it or republish it anywhere else. And that is a massive religious festival for the Jewish nations, Hanukkah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all a massive, let's make up a story, pretend that we're claimants, and in Greg Hallett's case, wait until they kill us. Yeah. But he did not publish that, but as soon as I did, with the All Blacks jumping and up and down and making all those motions with their tongues, guess where that comes from? That is not from the South Pacific. That is the fucking Kaiser in every war we've ever had. Yeah. And that is the Kaiser that is in the papacy in the last 3 lines, and it is totally corrupted.
Yeah.
We've
been made play a part with that, as even known it for a long time. That was John's main battle. John's main battle to get to his own native people, his own brothers and sisters, which is what he was trying to do. And I could see what his fight was. His main point was the people that were walking around saying that there was Maori, M-A-O-R-I. He's saying, look, that doesn't exist. That's been created. That has been created. Anything that somebody creates, they own. Stop saying you're Maori because you're not Maori. Yeah, that's what John was trying to get. And because he was saying that, they refused. They refused to let go of that. And it's been pointed out, and I'm seeing now a lot of them are now actually seeing this, and now they're actually stating the fact that it was created by Victoria, and it's been brought out as basically saying that you're one of them. You're a slave to them. You know, so. You know, I could see what his battle was. I could see it because it's not me. And I could see that John wasn't being nasty. He wasn't being horrible in that. But the people refused to let go of it because, you know, it's like everything else, isn't it? Who wants to be? It's not about who wants to be. All I want is the facts. The facts speak for themselves. Yeah, but the facts have all been distorted and disrupted. And because, you know, when you tell the truth, you know, John's got super knowledge, and it's a shame. I'd love for you to have a sit and talk, because I mean, he talks about the rugby ball being in the egg shape. It's the eggs, the Easter Island, and you know, Easter eggs, and so on. You know, he can go into all sorts of what's been, you know, what we've been led to believe, you know, of what history is, and so on and so forth. But it's horrendous, really. You know, if we only could have a clean, factual of the truth, of the actual full truth, nothing but the truth, you know. And it's not my truth. It's the facts. Everybody's truth is their truth, yeah. Unless you present in the facts, it's the facts. Facts will always speak the truth, you know. It's just getting them verified, you know, because there's so many facts out. That's why people can't grasp it. But seeing is believing. And like I say, when you put things into a timeline, like you do, you put things into a timeline, you can then start to see them, because, you know, it's disgusting, you know, what they've been doing, what they've done to the Jews, what they've done to the Christians, what they've done to the Muslims, what Muslims and Christians and Jews and all this, you know, what this God, this external God, you know, as far as I'm concerned, there is an external and an internal. And if you're not in alignment, yeah, then there's no external. It's within us all. As far as I'm concerned, we're all a part of that creation, you know. But some others have just lost some others are soulless. Now, whether that's because they've had it bred out of them. I don't know if you know a guy called Ronald Bernard. Be it
Never heard of
story or
him.
not.
You're way over my head now. I'd much rather get back to.
Okay, let's stick to that then. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
So I'll just turn on, and what did you get? Have you got that video that I showed you on Facebook the other day, so you can scan for the family trees and comment on what I'm saying?
I can go through it. Yes, I can. I've got that. How good of a picture it is, but I'll go through. Yeah, I'm just trying to find the pictures of it. I've got that video in front of me anyway. Yeah, I shall just share the screen on that video then.
Let me see if I can get it onto these other computers.
Yeah.
I just wish that I could. I promise that I'll use the thumbnail for it, or just send it to you. If they block the thumbnail, I'll send it to you as an image. But I reckon, how could we do that now? Let's just
we can add that afterwards. I mean, I'm showing now the family tree.
It would help a lot. It would give you the perspective to remember why everybody's on islands doing political deeds. All of them were Hitler Youth in her day, and all of it is the launch of the Star Wars team in Hollywood. Do you understand that? That's the Warner brothers, who are descended from Wagner in ancient Germany, and all of them are chief master masons. 4 of them were the Warners who launched Hollywood, and that is the Star Wars team, at war with everyone that are their customers.
Yeah.
And that
it's how they. I mean, it's planned. I mean, how do you get into people's minds? I mean, the film industry is the best propaganda or best programming tool out. I mean, because they're telling the story. They tell the stories with that, and people are like, again, what I'm trying to say, seeing is believing. Seeing is being programmed with what you believe, and that's what they accept. So they made all the film industry. They controlled all the media outlets. They controlled it, the whole kit caboodle. You know, we'll never get the stage that they own. You know, and they take you down off the state because they built the platform too. So, you know, the YouTube, the Google, and so on and so forth. But I mean, I'm amazed that. I mean, obviously, you've done yours very clean and very crisp with the facts. Otherwise, they can't take it down. They only take yours down through the copyrights of certain pictures and things that you put out. But you know, you've done an amazing job, to be truthful. Like I say, a lot of it will go over people's heads, but once they do get into it, I mean, it's gone over my head. I'm not. You know, I'm sure you give me more credit than I do. You know, like when I talk about certain things, you say it goes over your head. That's because I've done my research in. You know, we're only one head, aren't we, George? We're only one head. We're very good at what we're good at. You know, and you are a phenomenal guy on bloodlines and showing where things come from, and to be able to read into, you know, what they've done, how they put it onto the televisions, and how they're taking the piss, and you know, with what they're doing. You know, it's phenomenal, mate.
Let me just see if I can get you that one image onto your Facebook page.
Which one do you want?
The one with Hitler, the Pope, Hitler in Pope Benedict's uniforms as a Hitler Youth boy, Merkel and Austin, that are all the Forbes rich listers now in the news stories.
Was
and
that one on
Geli
your
Merkel.
video? Was that one on your video? That wasn't on your video, was it?
No, I've just created them this morning.
Okay. Okay.
Do you know, realize that little midget that popped dead just a few years, well, it was about 18 months ago?
I don't know.
Troy something.
Right, yeah.
Is 1 foot 6 inches tall.
What was his name?
He's in the Troy. Austin Powers star Vern Troyer's death, and like the Pope with the papal oak tree acorn on his head, they're both doing the V sign for Winston Churchill, like Arnie Schwarzenegger at the other end of the image.
Got you, yeah. Austin Powers star Vern Troy's death was a suicide, a coroner in Los Angeles has said. You know what I mean? So it was 49 years ago.
All of them tell you that the Rothschild wives have suicided too, but then when you see them walking into your Witherspoons in the local region, all of it has to be accounted for, but none of it is.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's what I was trying to say with people. Like, I mean, like, you know, you've got the world being a stage, and then you've got Trump's doing this, that, and the other, and saying they're going to get all these people. Like, yeah. And what I'm saying is, you know, yeah, they get taken off the stage, and then next minute, like you're saying, you see them walking into your pub. You know, this is what I'm trying to say. They're made out. You've got like Poppy Bush was meant to be lethal injected. You know. I can't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying about the body doubles. They're able to reincarnate folk and reverse the decision if they get them into the fridges early enough. I reckon how they do it, but it's clearly very obvious to me. Several of the police families and the teachers in that place called Earlston, their surname is Changeling, and that is the changelings that they have become. And when you go and see them coaching rugby teams at international level, and then you go into the local towns' police stations and you see the same people in uniforms, you understand exactly why they are changelings, and they are Mr. Changeling. Let's see if I can get this to.
Yeah, if you can send it on Messenger if you would.
What is Messenger again? Oh yeah.
Just send the picture in Messenger if you've got the picture on. Either that or you can share it on the timeline. But...
Messenger. So how do I
actually? Yeah. Well, you're on Messenger, aren't you now? We're on Messenger now.
Yeah, I've got 3 sites for it open. If I close them down one by one.
Yeah, watch it. You might close us off.
Oh no, I can.
Okay.
I think I can see the ones that are live.
Have you? Is it? I'll tell you what, George. Put it on your timeline. George, put it on your timeline, and I'll share your timeline. So
just post it on my Facebook page.
Yeah, just put it on your timeline, because I'm sharing your video. That video that's on your timeline now. I'm sharing the pictures within that video. You know, with
so yeah, this should do the job if I can just get it onto that system. Timeline. Andrew Devine.
Now just put it on yours, George. Put it on your timeline. Just share that picture on your timeline. You can take it off afterwards if you want, but just share that picture on your timeline now.
No, let me show you the magnitude of what we're talking about. This is just one image, but it will absolutely make it collapse. That's why I was so stunned when I got the pretzel news. So let's try. Paste. Create post. Andrew Devine. Write something to Andrew. Dear Andrew. And you can click on it and see if you can get it full size, and then try and remember Breivik and the terror in Norway that is manipulated in exactly the same way as Merkel's rise to whatever they call Downing Street in Germany. Yeah, and Austin, remember, is the spy who shagged me, and it is also the new German members of the Forbes rich list.
Have you sent it yet?
Let's just post.
You haven't sent that picture yet, have you?
It should be there now.
Oh, okay. George, the time. Yeah, okay, we've got it. Right. There we go. Yeah.
So that is the Chancellor of Germany. She's on her 5th regime, I think. That is unique in current world history, because all the presidents in America only get 2 chances. Donald's had his interrupted by what has happened, and all of that was the man that is the replacement. He's broken all of the bones in his lower leg, and the reason for that is that his German wolfhounds pulled him off the pavement. Right. Yeah, and that is the reason for that rush of blood. When I started to publish all of the folk that were Hitler's relatives, and that got 6,000 hits in 2 weeks, and that was the launch of coronavirus early last spring.
Wow.
So there it is, and you can see that Schwarzenegger and the rich listers at the bottom. I forget what you call that guy, right at the bottom left.
Who, next to Schwarzenegger?
Yeah, he's on the Forbes rich list at number 3 or 4.
Is that that's Rothschild, isn't it? That's Rothschild, Schwarzenegger.
Rothschild's on the far right, Schwarzenegger's in the middle, and the one that is Forbes, he's like, I forget what his massive companies are, but I think he's a retail magnate, okay. And he's 4th in Forbes rich list.
Got you.
Or somewhere in the top 6.
Yeah.
And there is Schwarzenegger in Hollywood after he and Hitler had fled from Germany when the bunker was under the River Spree floods. And that is the killing of all of the people in the air raid shelters in Berlin at that time. And the actor that is Bond helped to get them out and into Europe.
Oh, yeah.
It's just and Greg Hallett even published those stories with with all of the characters named in it, and that is the River Spree tunnels, and that is the yellow submarine for the Beatles. So that is Merkel training as a Hitler Youth, and there is Pope Benedict, who was a Hitler Youth too, and he, remember, is on the bloodline tree for the Sultans of Swing, that are the Lubavitchers that took all of the wealth out of Germany and the eastern end of Europe, and that is the Lubavitcher families that came with William the Conqueror and launched the banking scam that we're still plagued with.
Yeah.
Yeah, so can you see the writing? Here's a picture of Merkel in 1986 on an outing to the Baltic island of Rügen by members of the DDD, that is Deutsche Dunst movement, that was led by a man called Prince Philip.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the families that were Prince Philip's, like you, lived in Greece.
Mm-hmm.
And they died returning from the negotiations with Hitler in a plane crash. And it's the same for bin Laden's family. He had 12 or 13 brothers. 5 of them died in plane crashes. Those are acts of God in my mind's eye.
Yeah.
And the last time I talked to John Patterson, he was thinking the same way.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that Madonna's a virgin, but you can have your own opinions on that one. Shall I get ready to make a movie and we can profile the pretzel thing?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
And try and rationalize it.
Yeah.
So just give me 10 minutes and I'll find some photos on the other computer. And hopefully I can find the family tree to cite it more accurately.
Well, I'll end this video then. I'll end this recording, and then we'll start.
Oh, you've got it on tape too. That's good.
Yeah, I've recorded all that. Yeah, I've even showed the pictures of what you just sent me as well. So yeah, I'll end this one then, and we'll start another one up in 10 minutes then. Yeah.
Do you understand that these stories are directly linked to the ones that we talked about in the world owning bloodline? Yeah, and the families are just the same all over the world. They're on the American side of the Atlantic, they're in South America. All of it is military governments imposed by folk like Pinochet, and Mrs. Thatcher was still alive when all of that was happening.
Oh yeah.
They're allowed to get away with creating a pope that is a serial killer, and that is the last 3 popes were picked by Rothschild, and Jean-Paul is also the Jean-Paul Getty family, piss take, and they are piss takers supreme because the Getty mansions are called Villa Papyri, like Arius Piso's mansion under Vesuvius that collapsed onto their home, the Villa Papyri, when Vesuvius erupted in 79 AD. And all of that now gets blocked by the History Channel because it's not their work, as you show the massive explosions that is an erupting volcano. So just give me 5 or 6 minutes. I'll get some pictures,
okay,
and I'll get the camera primed, and we can start on. I'd just like to stay on what we've done, and also some of that genealogy. If you're not sure of it all now, who are the families, how they link in, how they are linked to the papacy and the Sultans of Swing and the Lubavitchers. That is. Do you remember the Harvey Keitel?
Remind me.
And the movies about the Lubavitchers moving over Europe and running the banks, and he was executing everybody by dueling. The name of the movie was The Duelist.
Right.
Harvey Keitel. If you look it up, you'll see movie clips of him fighting the duels to death. Yeah, either he dies or his rivals die. And that is him with the tiny little curly hairdos that the Lubavitchers have right through European history.
Okay.
And that is the Sultans' uniforms too. And they became the inspectors of the maps of America as they carved up the land. That is the Sultans of Swing. And what was the role in America was the Mason-Dixon lines. That is them carving up the continent that they've taken from its indigenous people, yeah, out of Poland, where all of the Jews fund their factory initiatives. Yeah, and the burial of themselves. It's absolutely tragic, and that is still the biggest cause of political strife. Even the new head of Labour had to resign because he was outspoken on that.
Yeah. Exactly.
And he's a Greg Hallett lookalike too, by the way.
What's happened to Greg Hallett? Anyway, what's happened to the new Greg Hallett? Because I've not seen or heard anything from him from a long time.
I reckon I don't bother with anymore. Jim Fetzer's a double agent. He's a deserter to our cause.
Yeah. He disappeared and left the. I mean, I did an interview with myself and John Winoa. John was actually incarcerated in a mental health ward at the time. You know what I mean? When they'd captured him, like, but he never came back. After that, he never came back to me. After me and John went on there, Jim was going like, "Wow, you know, thanks ever so much. This is brilliant," like, and that was it. He never came back to me ever again since then. So I think you're possibly right. Well,
I think it was 2011, I think, when he made his last contribution, and that was called For a Laugh for the Queen. It was called an interregnum, which is a period of quietness, I think.
Yeah.
But that was when the Queen topped him. She didn't do it personally, I don't think. So give me 5 or 6 minutes. I'll get some pictures, and you can tell me how that news story links into what we learned the other day about the Germans coming across. And if I do not remember to cite the Forbes listings, please jog my memory on that.
Okay.
It's absolutely massive. That's Jim Fetzer is Setzer at number 7 on their bloodline tree, out to fucking Switzerland. And he's confessed to that. He's from the Palatinate on the Swiss-French border. And I used to work in all those places, and the family that I loved so much there are likely to be the lovers of the pretzels, and that is Schneider. It's absolutely massive, and it's been going on for centuries and millennia, ever since the Bible was written, and all of it is a fake.
Yeah. And that was the Piso family, the Piso family.
Yeah, and thank you for your remembering all of those things. All that needs to happen is that we embarrass the local politicians, and that's why John's activity with Katie Warren was so sickening. Every time we were making a video on something important, he would cite Katie Warren's last crime, and all of it was, it makes him look like a desert boy, like Laurel and Hardy, and that, I believe, is why they were launched into it. And I think I told you yesterday that in Greg Hallett's books, the silent movie actor, what did I tell you yesterday about the earliest one in Hollywood's history? He was from Sunderland, and I used to go to the pub that he started in. And Greg Hallett's book has got the fact that he's a double agent. I told you the name yesterday.
I know, George. I've told you I'm useless.
Stanley Matthews. Stanley Matthews, was he a silent? Yeah, it's all riddled with double agents, and that is, my wife was trained in intel, like Max Clifford. I believe that they've killed my wife and allowed Max Clifford to live because he's the boss in intel.
Yeah. All right. Well, George, I've got my dinner now. I've just had my dinner put in front of me, so I'll have my dinner and we'll commence in let's say 10 minutes. Yeah.
Good lad. Thank you.
Okay. God bless, George. Take care, mate. Right, the time now is 2:24 UK time. So
if I just leave that switched on, I won't have to look at the soundtrack again.
Yeah. Okay. I'll leave it switched on then. I'll just stop by. Yeah, I'll
We
just
can
stop my
both
recording.
relate to the sensational photo I've just shown you.
Yeah. I will do. I'll stop the recording on my Zoom and I'll start up again. Okay, mate. Take care. So yeah, the time now is 2:24, so 12:24 on the 14th of January. And that one there.